let's start off with some general introductions here, and let's get started. I'm going to just start at the end here. So we're going to start with Chad. Chad's the co-founder of DIFF Eyewear. So I'll let you kind of tell yourself who you are, where you're from, just a little bit high level.
Yeah, so I'm one of the 3 co-founders of DIFF. We're about 10 years old as a women's sunglasses brand, about to expand into the men's market. Let's see, we also do prescription glasses. That's like our emerging category that we plan to grow the business most with. And I'm happy to be here.
Very cool. Ooh, you got a fan club here. Fan club. I like it. All right, Beth.
Beth Horrigan, e-com operations team for FreeFly Apparel. We are a performance apparel company that started out with fishing, but we do any outdoor activity or inside. I'm wearing one of our shirts now. And it started with bamboo fabric, moving into eucalyptus and different things like that. But great performance apparel.
And you're a look at fan crowd. And she's also a local South Carolina brand too. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Everyone
Everyone knows Brad. Brad, you want to say hi, Brad?
Yep, Brad, founder of Elevar.
All right. Bigger clap for this guy, real quick. All right. And then my name is Jimmy. I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm the CIO and founder of Sendlane. We're a unified email, SMS, reviews, and forms product. And I've been an email marketer for 15 years. I used to be a brand owner. I used to have an apparel company. So I'm excited to be on here as a 15-year email marketer to talk about personalization and omnichannel and the changes that are occurring into this market. So let's kind of set the stage first. I want to start with you, Chad. Let's talk about the business a little bit, just so we can understand and everyone get caught up around retail and omnichannel, what you guys are doing. So Amazon and different things. Tell us a little bit more about your actual business and your the different channels you're utilizing today.
Yeah, so DIFF was started initially as a direct consumer brand, and that will always be our focus. Now, we also sell on Amazon. Amazon runs about 13% of Shopify at all times. We specifically are on there just because our customer wants to be able to buy from there, but the deal is not as good. It's a little more expensive, but obviously you get it, next day or within 2 days. Whereas on our own site, if you buy direct from diffeyewear.com, we have a permanent buy one, get one free deal. Excellent deal, but obviously not going to show up in 2 days. But we're also in over 1,000 doors of retail. So we have Nordstrom, Dillard's, major big box retailers that carry us. We're also in some major online stores like Revolve, for example. So constantly expanding that category as much as possible. And we have about 10 people on the team dedicated to wholesale. And let's see. So we actually also licensed our brand to one of the larger Italian groups. So they specifically sell to optical networks or optical stores. So your typical optician or ophthalmologist. And that is not something we're excellent at. And the way that they buy is very old school. We're not good at that. Our team is very good at going to trade shows and working with your boutique type of buyers. I would say we are very good at selling to American women 20 to 50 years old. We are not good at selling to the stores that are selling to people that are 50 plus. And that's why we licensed it out. They're very good at it. And I think we have a pretty decent royalty with them, but that's how we're expanding currently.
Very cool. Beth, same question.
So we started in wholesale. That's how FreeFly started. Our founder, Tanner, went and just hawked his wares and tried to sell it into local shops here in Charleston, and built the brand that way. And then we switched into adding into D2C, and just expanding off of that. We also have Amazon, but we don't like to talk about that. So go to freeflyapparel.com. And we're also growing the wholesale business, continuing to do that, branching out from the Southeast, really trying to grow different markets. And it's interesting to see the D2C sales with those doors that we're opening in those expanding markets that we're looking to get into. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so we're gonna keep going on to this like back and forth a little bit, but now, Chad, we're gonna dive in one layer deeper and then say, all right, so we know about your, we know what you're doing and who you are and what you're selling and so forth. Let's start diving into your marketing, your personalization, how you're thinking about things. Now, you said 20 to 50 years old is your demographic. So you've got multiple generations of people in there ultimately. And how are you approaching it today? Like, what's the high level? Like, give me the overall strategy of how you're thinking about this.
Yeah, so when we launched the brand, we luckily had a creative director that told us to focus completely on selling to women. We realized early on that men were going to be much more difficult to get to buy sunglasses. A lot of men in this room, you would probably buy one pair of sunglasses every few years, and when you lose or break that pair, you want the same pair. Imagine trying to sell. That doesn't work. Our customer loves to buy 4 pairs of sunglasses a year for every different trip, something to match their new outfit, new bikini. So luckily, he taught us that very early on, and that was basically the reason why we've been able to grow the business to where we are now. We are trying to get in these emerging categories, and personalization around that, for example, as we expand into men's, is when men come to our site, obviously we're very forward in terms of marketing to women, but we're trying to figure out the best way not to turn the men away. So the men's ads obviously have to run to a men's collection or men's specific product pages. And so we're getting a little more sophisticated about if the UTM includes something about men's. We will specifically not show lifestyle imagery that features women, because if the same pair of sunglasses is good for men and women, but there's like 5 different ladies on the page, men don't want to buy. They bounce immediately. And then if they happen to come to the site directly, because word of mouth is definitely our number 3 channel, our number 3 channel. And obviously a lot of our women customers have men in their life, so they hear about it via word of mouth. They come to the site, and we're doing our best to basically ask, are you interested in men's? And, but sometimes it's women that are interested in men's because they're buying for a gift. Actually, for us, women buy more for men than men buy themselves. So we're kind of navigating that the best we can. It is complicated. We have 1,200 SKUs. We come out with 400 new SKUs a year, and we just have to keep testing into it.
So when you're going in, and you mentioned most your buyers are women, right? But you're still seeing that. How are you identifying them outside of the UTM? Are you just passing that into your system and then splitting them off from there? Are you re-asking? Are you looking at different intent signals? Are you looking at page views, clicks? What are you looking at to really try to identify those people?
Yeah, so we have a couple different entry points. Obviously, the pop-up on the site initially, ask them directly, because if you want the BOGO offer, you have to give us an email, phone number. Hopefully, you give us phone. And so that initial touch point is very good. Or if they click on and engage with a collection or a specific product, obviously that drops into our ESP. So we have those affinity audiences. If you engaged with the men's collection, we'll break you out specifically. And then also we'll do some testing in post-purchase surveys or in the initial welcome flow email. If they engage with the men's collection, for example, we'll break them out that way.
Interesting. Okay, that's very cool. I'm going to go to you, Beth, kind of talking the same thing. We understood the business a little bit. Let's talk about your marketing. Let's talk about how you're looking at your business, who your buyer is, and how you're personalizing that.
So for D2C specifically, to the points that were made in the session before this, we were very heavy in Meta a couple of years ago. And 2 years ago, we diversified and started doing direct mail and TV and saw that really take off. And what we've seen recently this year is when we do an omni-channel approach where it's not same across all channels, but it's similar same, the impact that it has when the catalog drops that weekend has been incredible and just really exciting to see. And so we're cautiously optimistic as we go through this year because we've just seen it with 2 pops with our catalogs this year. But the main people that we're targeting or that are in our demo are, I think I was saying to you, they're older millennial and younger boomer and everything in between. Obviously, you want to grow a younger demographic so you can build that retention and that compounding audience that Taylor was talking to earlier. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you're good. So let's talk a little bit deeper about that. I think it's always interesting as you start hearing the audiences of people, right? Chad's got 20 to 50, so he's got multiple generational people, and then you're a little bit older skewed on the brand. When you think about personalization, right, you've got the first party, which is like asking them up front. And then you've got the second party. The second thing that I always think about is the intent, right? They're on your page. They're clicking on certain links. The third thing I always think about is preference. And I always think about that as a personalization. Being that you guys have such a wide, vast audience, how are you guys looking at your different channels between email and SMS?
You know what? We're actually not the best at it, but that is part of what we're trying to figure out. Specifically, I keep bringing it up, obviously, men's and women's. And so within like the SMS welcome flow, we're starting to ask the question there as well, because you can get that initial engagement, obviously. They're most likely to tell us their preference within that welcome series.
No, that's interesting. And then are you taking an approach of messaging differently between the two channels?
Yeah, so another area that we break that out specifically is prescription glasses. If you came to the site specifically looking for prescription optical, you don't necessarily want to receive 100 emails about sunglasses, because maybe you don't actually wear sunglasses. A lot of optical wearers, they actually don't like them unless they have like wear-overs or whatever that actually fit over their prescription. So we're doing a little bit more of that. And then a new category for us is also sport. So if you've come to the site specifically looking for sports sunglasses, we don't want to just, spam you with, fashion product or prescription, vice versa. So we're having to break it out a lot more now.
I think for email segmentation and SMS is testing into those different segments. So how deep and specific do you go in one segment, and then look at the data and look at it over the course. Obviously, if there's something that's glaringly wrong, make the shift, but you need to watch the trends for when you go into those segments to see, okay, did it perform well over 7 days? Well, maybe there was just a, macro influence into that. So you need to get a read and a trend line in terms of segmenting those groups and what the behavior is between email and SMS. And I think it's also really interesting to differentiate those messages, because, we all get emails and SMS like 15 minutes later. It's the exact same message that you just got in your inbox. So again, similar, same, but not same.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
So I like to take the approach of the questions that you all come to us with at Elevar of how can we match our messaging on this channel, or how can I create these custom conversions for Facebook to help us better target, like I was going through. And that's the customer, what I call a customer data layer, is taking your men's women's split that you might ask in the SMS. Does Meta know that? Does Google know that? If you're using potentially Sendlane and someone else together, are all of your channels connected? So when you progressively profile that customer you build out, including what they're doing on site, what categories are they viewing? How deep are they going? Are they a 2-page view, or are they 20? That's going to make their intent a little bit higher. So are they scored higher as a propensity, or more likely to buy? So that the customer data layer, when it comes into one-to-one personalization, sorry, I just realized I wasn't talking enough into this. That to me is the future of where we see this coming, is really building out that customer data layer profile, pull everything in. So you're not just very hyper focused on, we're just going to segment in this channel and this channel, but the customer is getting messages that potentially contradict each other.
Yeah, no, I think one of the things that people have a misconception, and I think it's been like one of these weird learnings, because SMS marketing is not old, but not new, meaning like it's been around, but it's in this market is fairly new when it comes down to it. And a lot of people don't realize that SMS is more like a now channel, meaning like there's an action, a behavior of launch of a sale, ending a sale. Like those are what works. That's why flows and triggered events on SMS work really well, right? And, when you think about that and you start combining it with the actions of the generation, I'm going to go back to Brad on this a little bit. Do you have any data around like age preference to channel preference that you guys look at? Because what we see on our side often is when you have a younger brand that's more Gen Z located, they do significantly better on SMS than they do email, where an older brand tends to do way better on email than SMS, right? And it makes sense because it's natural of the behavior they're doing. So, Brad, do you have any data or any thoughts around that?
Now we do, with pulling a lot of the Buxton side, and Philip will be going through that later, and we didn't rehearse this, by the way, but that is, I talked about the stick figure versus 3D. That's exactly what the consumer, my view is, it's not because we're not pushing this personalization. The consumer is pulling this out of this because we don't want to get bombarded with 20 emails and texts when my shipment's delayed, or I'm not ready to buy because I just a new pair of shoes. I'm not going to buy another one for 10 months. So I really think the market is going to pull this personalization out of us. And that's where you start getting just better about personas. Maybe not one-to-one yet, but instead of just one to everyone, you are starting to break down those cohorts, whether it's age. We were chatting, we were prepping for this, just the SMS. So we were talking about, hey, what age groups are using, do Gen Z, do they open email? You're like, no, hell no, nobody opens email at this age. Which, if that is not being pulled across channels, I mean, that's, we're all leaving money on the table if we're just batching and blasting across channels. Yeah. Share that tidbit. That was interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of talking about just the deftness of like how brands, like if you're a supplement brand that's catered towards a younger audience, right? Like it's such a significant difference in data around email and SMS and how they're reacting, how they're acting, how fast they're reacting. Email still works and people are still there, but like it's the entry point almost is quicker with SMS, and the buying behavior is faster when you see it on those younger generations, where older ones have that. It's kind of like what you said earlier about like the men's and women's thing, right? Like my brand that I had was a men's and women's when we first started, but we learned that men like to do the same thing over and over again, right? And we decided to make the decision to go all men's because women were not loyal in clothing, and it was really hard to get a repeat purchase, right? And we were just losing money because our inventory sat on the thing. And I look at that as the same thing with like SMS when you think about like audience management, when you're thinking about how you can split the people that you have, not just thinking about buying and purchasing behavior, but what their first party or their intent data has shown you, the contextual data that they're telling you, like, you know, they're visiting a certain site, they're clicking on certain links, all those different things roll up to almost predicting who the person is and building segments around those people and then driving those messages. That doesn't mean that you're going to have, you know, email is not going to be a good channel for you just because you see SMS. There's just a certain segment of those users that are going to be more inclined to be responding on that mess channel versus the other one. So, you know, there's a lot of that thought process. I mean, I'll go to you, Chad. Like when you see this right now, 20 to 50 years old, you got a wide group. Like, are you starting to see any preference there?
Yeah, and we actually have a younger brand as well. So we have a second brand. It's called Dime. So our primary brand is Diff. We like these 4-letter brand names. So Dime was specifically created for a much younger audience, and we leaned heavily into the Latina makeup category. It did very well, but those customers are actually much less loyal because they're very used to shopping and trying new things constantly. And I would say for us, we have found that retention channels for that brand have been very difficult, and we found that we had to lean into SMS first because they do not care about email at all, and they don't respond to it. So we actually had to prioritize SMS. And then what you were talking about in terms of custom conversions. So as we scale up Diff, we find that we have to lean into these other categories. So prescription, for example, that is our next biggest category that's growing. So we've started setting up those custom conversions so that we can track it in Meta more effectively. Because when, let's say, a majority of your ad spend is on sunglasses ads, those sunglasses ads for us are driving prescription sales, but without those custom conversions, we don't know how many. Now we know. So now we're breaking out those custom conversions for men's, for sport, and every category, including licenses. So we also do Star Wars, Marvel, Harry Potter. We're breaking out custom conversions for all of them so that we at least directionally understand that these campaigns are driving this much sales of these different categories and what is that overlap. And then also, like, what is the different KPI metrics for each of them? Because some we can definitely run at like a lower return on ad spend, for example. So it's been really vital and helpful, and I'm excited for this phase of growth with this specific data.
Very cool. And Beth, you're skewing the other way, older. So I ask you the other question, like how you're looking at SMS. Are you feeling that, you know, a lot of things that we generally see and hear is that misconception that people say like, oh, it'll bother my customers, SMS, but it's really a preference thing almost, right? As you are working older generation, are you starting to see that a little bit? Like there's still a group of those older generations that like it and prefer it? I mean,
we have seen crazy growth in SMS this year. Now, attribution is, I think it's a 30-day window that we have. So for SMS, that feels a little long, like a year.
About 29 days too long.
Yeah, exactly. So, taking that data with, a grain of salt, but still watching the engagement, and looking at, obviously, like you were saying, where are they landing? What pages are they engaging with? What are they purchasing? And then are they purchasing just one product? Are they purchasing the whole outfit? Our lightweight hoodie, our bamboo lightweight hoodie is the product that put us on the map. We have about 30 colors in the lightweight hoodie, and about 75% of those are blues. How many blues can one guy buy in a lightweight hoodie? Apparently, Brad.
Yeah, don't look in my closet.
Yeah, the limit does not exist. My entire suitcase is blue and this shirt.
So, well, that's good. But are they buying the pants that go with it? Are they just coming back for another color, the new color in the next season? Or are they buying exactly what we outfitted and then looking at it men's versus women's? And women tend to buy the whole outfit, and men just replace, is what we see.
Yeah, just the same thing over and over again. All right, so let's zoom back out a little bit. You guys are both omni-channel. You have all sorts of things going on. Obviously, you got influencers, I think retail, we've got Amazon, we've got so much coming in, right? As you think about all that data and you think about how you can kind of, how you can take that data in and optimize, right? I think it's really hard because you can say a person comes to your Facebook ad, right, your Meta ad, and then they come to your website, they go to Amazon, make a purchase, and then they make the repeat purchase on a different channel, right? How are you guys thinking about how you're able to capture more data on a user right now in order to try to be more relevant quicker when it comes to like omni-channel approach?
That's it. Yeah, that's a good question.
Sorry, this wasn't rehearsed, so.
Yeah.
I can chime in if you need a minute.
Yeah, warm it up.
All right, good. Yeah.
Warm it up. I like that.
So with some of our customers, when they're with our integration, where you can send every channel to Meta or Google or whatnot. So if you go to your Shopify sales by channel and you have your online store, then you might have draft orders and Meta Shop and Shop app and everything else. The question is, do we want to send everything to every destination? And then the natural next question is, well, how many of my customers are actually buying on Metashop and then migrating over to D2C? And if you are one of those brands, doesn't matter if it's Metashop or TikTok Shop, whatever it might be, just use the new Shopify customer reporting. It looks technical when you get in there, but you don't have to be technical. It basically writes the script for you. And you can start including and excluding channels to see who bought, like what order exists in the last X number of days that came in through Metashop, and did they buy again through the online store? And just see for yourself. And I'll tease it, but I was surprised that there's not a whole lot of crossover in some brands. Like the volume was very high and there was zero crossover for that customer buying in both places. So I don't even know what the question was. I was filling time there, but that was interesting.
Well, I think that you sell where people want to buy, and people will buy where they want to buy, and they don't care anymore. Like it's just the way people in America work, right?
And for this particular customer and brand, we had a dialogue going with their Facebook performance team, and it was all about like making sure they're getting all offline orders as well. So even it's like Meta's cognizant as well, and they just want to know like what type of crossover is happening. So anyways, it's interesting research. You all can do it. It's a DIY thing when you're selling across channels and just seeing what that crossover is, or use, get with Dan from Dacity, Jacob, Fave Source Medium, etc. Get with them and they can help direct you.
Yeah, we definitely know that there's obviously overlap between selling channels, but if someone came in through Metashop, they love to buy through Metashop again. And what's wild is it's also not the best shopping experience, but they still love it. And maybe a big part of that is because their payment method is saved in there. At this point, they trust it. And that's been a new thing for us, actually. Over the past, call it 9 months, Metashop has become a huge percentage of sales for us because we started enabling it in basically every campaign. And when we did that, we just saw campaign efficiency improve. And so it's actually become a massive part of our business. We are tracking it directly in Shopify. And then you also have like the shop app customers and things like that. So at this point, we accept that we want to be everywhere we can possibly be while giving the customers a good experience. Right now, I do not like TikTok Shop. I would love to be doing tons of revenue there, but we cannot control the experience well enough currently. I would love to get better at it. That's something we have to work on. But that's an example of a channel that we are not scaling into because we cannot control what the overall experience is for our customers.
I think for me, it's what data platforms do we have and how do we use them now, and how can we actually, like, rather than trying to go out and like get a shiny new platform of, oh, this is going to solve everything for us. To Taylor's comments this morning, right now it's tough to buy new platforms or invest in new platforms. So understanding how they work across all of them, and then how you can stitch those things, those data points together to try and tell that story, to try and get to the point of what you want to tell people and have them purchase.
That's great. And as we think about the future, and as we're starting to wind down here, I want to kind of start diving into the future a little bit. Let's talk about things like augmented reality and different ways to like leverage inside of your store, your website, whatever it might be. Have you guys thought about that? Are you doing anything special right now where like you're creating more personalization through like experiences?
Yeah, so for us, obviously, virtual try-on for eyewear has been around for a long time, and now it's gotten very good and it's become affordable. When we had virtual try-on on our site initially for like 3 years, it was $100,000 for the tool, and then it was like another $35,000 to digitize the new products as we would release them. Frankly, that's, I don't know, it's extreme pricing. And when we ran it on site and actually ran A/B testing for it, we found that it decreased conversion. I was amazed. I was like, wow, we literally just wasted $200,000 the past 2 years. And now the technology is much better. And actually, if you want to try it out, you can go to the Amazon app on your phone. You can type in DIFF Eyewear, and they actually created their own virtual try-on for our products. They didn't ask. We would have said yes, obviously. It's excellent. So just hop in there, check out one of our key products, and there's a little button for virtual try-on. So that's big for us. And then also frame fitment. So that's a part of it, because the accuracy of how the frame fits on your face, it has to be the same as the product. Otherwise, the return rate ends up being extreme. So we sell a lot of oversized sunglasses. Now, a lot of women want to know, are they too big or are they big enough? And it can go either direction. So we end up with about a 20% return rate on Amazon no matter what. But we hope that the virtual try-on is now just increasing conversion rate. And now we're about to shift virtual try-on onto our site again and test it out. So we're excited for that.
And then when they're virtually trying it on, do you know that they've tried something on as like that level? And then do you bring them back to that as a personalization? Do you push on them to go try on more glasses? Like, is there a better experience because they did enact it on something?
Yeah, so we're getting ready to launch it again, and we're going to put it everywhere. And so we will know who interacted with it and who didn't, and we'll definitely be A/B testing it. So there'll be a holdout group. Probably at least 30% of the people will have no opportunity to engage. But we'll track that best we can. Because of customer privacy, we don't record anything. That would be kind of weird if we did, but that's a fear of some people. But yeah.
It's a little hard for apparel, but I think if we're having those conversations, and I think for our brand, one of our tags is comfort on, adventure out. So if you do any of that AR, VR, it's the experiences that you'll have while wearing FreeFly, rather than what am I going to look like in it? How am I going to experience? How is this going to make my life more fun outdoors?
As a customer, it could be you're on a boat and you have water like rolling off, or it's beating up and just going off, or I don't know, there's something. But I think that's where it might come a little bit more, like you said, you're taking it, putting it into real life, because you're selling, like your video ad from yesterday was selling. The guy was on a boat and he was casting. And anyways, I think that's where it would fit in long term. And tying back, maybe that's where Shopify will take it and start building it in natively a storefront at some point.
Yeah, no, I think that those are a lot of things that you think about. Is I think the tie-in of personalization. That's fine. Like, we'll leave it. It's good. It's no good there, anyways. You think about personalization, you think end-to-end customer experience ultimately, right? Like, that's really what we're trying to create, because in a typical way, when retail, right, you can guide them along, you can show them the sales, you can talk to them. But online, it's a little bit more anonymous. Like, they're on channels you can't track and so forth. So when you start thinking about the future and you start thinking the next 5 years, right? Obviously, email's been dead for 20 years. We all agree that the marketing pitch has been out there, but like, it's not, right? We all agree. Just like direct mail is not dead. Just like every channel has its own thing, because it's preference. It's what humans want. And what's really always interesting is that when you look at like someone like the US versus somewhere like Asia, for example, everyone in the US uses different channels, different actions. Like, as you said, I'm shopping on Meta. I trust that. I trust TikTok Shop. I trust only the DTC brand. I trust only Amazon, right? These are things that people think about when it comes to personalization. And that means that you have to try to cater the future to those people, right? Versus where you go to Asia, they're all using one platform, one payment processing. And you see that pretty differently in stark. And I think it's just because we have a free capitalistic United States, like everybody does that, right? So when you guys think about that and you're thinking about the next 5 years of your brand and you're thinking about marketing and you're thinking about personalization, more channels than ever, how do you see the customer experience evolving ultimately? Have you thought about that? I'll start with you, Beth.
I think it's kind of showing how within, like I said, we started as a fishing brand, and a lot of people still think that we are a fishing brand, but you can use our clothes no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, and they'll hold up. And so I think going into that deeper personalization of, I'm going to talk to the hikers. Okay, now I'm going to talk to the tennis people. And our FreeFly isn't going to like this, but you can golf in FreeFly. Not strenuous activity, but it still holds up. So how can you dive deeper into those segments and with those people based upon what they tell you that they want? Obviously.
So are you curating, you're seeing the world curate more personalized messaging, right, towards those? And now that always becomes like a question, because it's like you can have a lot of categories and too much messaging, and it becomes a lot of work there, which I think this is where like AI and different things will start to come solve these things. But what have you thought about that?
Haven't really. Not yet. When you first asked the question, no idea for the next 5 to 10 years, but I'll go with Gene. Whatever Gene has to say, I'll follow him. But I think it's just going to be like the same marketing principles, like we've been saying, apply. And it's just the execution of it with the media that people are using at that time.
Yeah. And for us, obviously, eyewear has been around for hundreds of years, and it's not changing. So as much as I love new things that are coming into the market in terms of marketing tech and whatnot, I love the fact that we're going to be selling sunglasses the same way for a long time. And that's going to be something that's very consistent across all the categories. There will be some early adopter situations where we test into things, but I have a feeling that 95% of what we do is just going to basically be the same. I think one thing that we as marketers and founders and everything have to focus on is you can only control so much, but what you can always control is the quality of your product and how it makes your customers feel when they receive it and when they're experiencing or using it for the 100th time. That's what we're going to focus on. So no matter what, over the next 5 years, we're going to make sure the quality of our product and how our customers engage with it is consistent so that they come back.
And Brad, how do you think about it? Like,
that's a mic drop moment right there.
I know. I'm just like, okay, data and customer experience. Talk about that.
We'll all have our own personal shoppers. I think we'll all describe, just like Nate and I were chatting, like creating your own CFO advisory board and say, like, I want advice from, this CFO and this one. And same thing. It's like, I want, these 10 influencers they're my inspiration. I want to turn them into a personal shopper for me, ensuring that obviously whatever model or whatnot comes out, they have access to what's the latest product. So it's not serving me results from 2023, but that from a data side, the data is going to come from me. I will take action, and that is going to be the response back is to me, it's the personal shopper and taking everything that the product, the mic drop moment to me that's spot on.
That's good. I think it's interesting as you kind of think about the future of like, there's, as Chad said, like, as much as we want to believe things are in the future, like flying cars are coming, like we know that that's still quite a way.
Yeah, and our brand is almost 10 years old. And basically what has worked for us for 10 years has been women selling to women. Even though DIFF was founded by 3 guys, we learned very early on that we are able to pinpoint impactful women and work with them, and they are exceptional at creating content that sells to our current customer. Now we're trying to do the same thing for men. It doesn't work as well for us. That's actually a muscle we're trying to build right now. So if any of you guys are really good at selling to men, I need to talk to you because I need some tips. But it hasn't changed in 10 years for us, and I don't expect it's going to change overnight. But social selling is going to continue to be something that we lean in the most because it's what's worked.
And it's you're wearing them, you're seeing them on people, and it's a fashion item, right? So, any more to add to that, Beth?
Yeah, I was just going to say leveraging influencers or ambassadors, they are obviously an extension of your community, but they have their community, and they then become your risk-free sign-off, where I've tried it, I love it. Yeah, I'm getting paid for it, but I liked it before I was getting paid for it. And so they are then but it has to be an authentic endorsement, obviously. And then it becomes that, 30-day risk-free. Well, it's kind of risk-free because this guy that I love wears it all the time.
So do you think that, hold on, I got one question real quick, I'll let you go, Chad. Do you think that with an influencer, because you know that who their audience tends to be, that you can curate a personalized experience for just those people that come through that channel?
Why not?
Yeah.
But I didn't check with the brand, so I won't name the brand, but years ago we did that. I think they had 100+ influencers, all had unique coupon codes coming from YouTube, and we had their personalized campaigns across every page, and we took it across the board. So yeah, for sure, because it was saying things like, hey, I see Snoop Dogg, whatever's being, that's the influencer, and click into the site and there's nothing about Snoop Dogg. It's a broken experience. So yeah, 100%. It was very manual back then. It'll be automated, and in some cases it already is.
Yeah. And Chad, you had something to add?
Yeah, and so we've been working with influencer talent or creators since the beginning of the brand. It's been as big as paying Kylie Jenner 10 separate times to post on Snapchat. So that is the ultimate personalization. And actually our top 3 creators, they were DIFF customers. So in terms of creating an experience that our future customers want to engage with, we've actually had a lot of luck pinpointing current customers that are creators and work with them consistently. So that's been very successful for us.
Very cool. So we got a minute left. Any dying questions from anyone in the audience here I can take right before we end? I think they're all hungry. Oh, we got a question. We got a question over here. I know they're hungry, so let's go.
So I'm really interested. We have a whole lot of people out there sharing information about our product on social. And I'm sitting here looking for a lot of different content managers, creators, everything. How did you at DIFF find, and what process did you go through to find out which one of your customers would be the great, creators for you?
Honestly, it was pretty simple. They would create content wearing our product, and our team would see it. And I would say we have amazing female marketers on our team. They understand what they're interested in. So they actually found these women that we work with through their own Instagram feed. So I would say, depending on what your product is or what your brand is, maybe you are actually not the best person to find this talent. And literally, we had women on our social team that wanted to work with them.
Yeah, we make frames for the Frame TV.
Oh,
so
cool.
So picture frames, and so it's
yeah.
I'm not the ideal.
Yeah, exactly. These women that are creating the content are tastemakers, and young gals on our team would find them, and then they would just reach out and strike up some kind of combo, send them free product, and we'd start there.
Great, thank you.
Very cool. All right, well, I'm going to end this. We're on time. So, Chad, Beth, Brad, thank you guys for having us. Thank you guys all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.